Shalom. Giving all praises to the Heavenly Father, Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Rachahakwarash. Double honors to the apostles, the bishops, and the elders at Great Millstone who rule well. Peace and salutations, as always, to the elect. News and prophecy, linking the things that we see happening worldwide. All right, as well as here in Babylon the Great. All right, to the Holy Scriptures, giving the elect of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua assurance. All right, as the scriptures say, wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times. All right, and you're going to need to be stable in these times, as a lot is getting ready to happen in a short time, as the devil, Esau, Edom, all right, the rulers of this current world have only but a short time to accomplish a lot. All right, and as they're honing in on their world domination, they're running into many problems. All right, as the scriptures talks about a snare being laid for Babylon the Great, all right, at the hands of the small hats, you know, entering them into wars and frictions that they aren't ready for. All right, we know that as the scriptures say, let's get that in the book of Mark. Okay, Yahweh Shai told us, Mark 13:6, the end times will be marked by, you know, false prophets, right? But also he said in verse 7, and when ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, be ye not troubled. All right, or don't be, you know, too on edge to where you think the end is coming tomorrow. All right, although we hope like hell, you know, the end comes soon. You know, there are still a few things that are going to need to happen. You know, we know civil unrest, which the Lord is strategically placing these heathen in positions to go to war, go to bat. As we see, you know, Iran is shutting down the Strait of Hormuz, all right, which is going to lead to consequences in many economies, all right, as well as here in the United States. Eventually, all right, we're going to start to see, you know, prices rising, all right, not only for gas, but, you know, rent, you know, a lot is at stake here, and pretty much people are getting ready to lose it, as the American people are finding out that their government doesn't give a shit about them, and mainly, you know, the working class Edomites, all right, who are, you know, pretty much like the backbone, you know, at one point was the backbone. The working class period is the backbone of Babylon. You know, they're waking up and finding out the shit show that they've supported, all right, and their president is under blackmail by the small hats, and he's doing their bidding. He's not doing the bidding of you American people. So things are happening strategically, right? As we know the scripture. As a matter of fact, we'll get that as well. We'll get the book of 2nd Ezra, the 4th chapter, right? Okay, 2nd Ezra, the 4th chapter, and we'll jump down to the point. Verse 36, because, you know, we're hastening the day, all right, but don't crash out, all right, and, you know, because it could be a ceasefire, it could be this, it could be that, but we know that we're in those times. We rejoice that the Heavenly Father, through his only begotten Son, has given us comfort through the word. His prophets are on fire. As the scriptures say, let thy prophets be found faithful. See, so we are being comforted in a way that the mass majority of the people on the earth, all right, they're not comforted, especially our people. All right, these people over in the east, they're frightened. Our people, a lot of our people are bugged out, but the Lord has given us comfort. Okay, and one of the things that we are comforted by is understanding prophecy and the will of the Lord must play out. So this is 2nd Esdras chapter 4 and 35. It says, did not the souls of the righteous ask these questions? What are the questions that the righteous are asking? At what point are you going to set up the kingdom? Why do we have to go through this? Why do we have to go through that? Right? And so forth. You can read the chapter on your own. It says, did not the souls of the righteous ask questions of these things in their chambers, saying, how long shall I hope on this fashion? And when cometh the fruit of the floor of our reward? Right? The righteous, those of us who are standing stiffly for the truth. All right. When do we get a reward? Okay. And unto these things, Uriel, the archangel, gave them answer and said, even when the number of seeds is filled in you, for he have weighed the world in the balance. So ultimately, the prophets, okay, would have to come back until the final generation, all right, would be in the earth. And we believe that is in this time. Okay. So the end was not going to come during the Persian Empire. The end didn't come through, the Greeks. The end didn't come, at the fall of the Western Roman Empire. All right. And our forefathers have always asked, when. Okay. And we believe that this is the very end. All right. As everything is lining up, because the Lord has weighed the world in a balance. By measure hath he measured the times, and by number hath he numbered the times. And he does not move nor stir them until the said measure be fulfilled. Okay. The said measure has to be fulfilled. So we know and understand that the end is not going to come until all of the things that the Heavenly Father has determined through his word, right, are fulfilled. Okay, so the only thing we can do is rejoice and be comforted by what we're witnessing and be thankful to even be on the winning team, or to even be considered to be on the winning team. Okay, again, let's get Revelation, the 11th chapter, right? Revelation, the 11th chapter and the 18th verse. It says, and the nations were angry, right? And that's what we're witnessing. And thy wrath is come, and the time of the dead that they should be judged. The dead represents the heathen nations, as well as the 2/3 of our people who are likened unto them and their uncircumcised spirits. It says, in the time of the dead that they should be judged, and that thou shouldest give reward unto thy servants the prophets, and to the saints, and to them that fear thy name, small and great. There's a reward coming, all right, starting with the men of the Lord, the servants, the prophets, right? But also those of you, all right, small and great, who trusted in the message, who believed, who had faith, who helped, who, even if you couldn't help, financially or with alms or whatever, praying for us. Those things are not going unnoticed by the angels, man. You see, as we live in a world of darkness, all right, the elect are as lights, all right, amongst this crooked and perverse nation, right? It says, and that thou shouldest give reward unto the servants, the prophets, and to the saints, and to them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroy them which destroy the earth. And this is ultimately what's getting ready to happen. A reward is on its way, you see? And we know it by the signs that we are, witnessing. Mark 13 and 7. Okay. And we don't ignore these things. You notice, whether it's people you work with or people in the world, they try to, your family members, they act like these things don't exist. They act like this is normal. They think it's going to go away. People are eating and drinking and being merry, traveling all over the world. Okay. And sometimes you may look at these people and get envious because you want to travel, you want to have fun, you want to enjoy your life. And it's not that you can't do particular things, but you have to be very mindful of the times that we're in the Lord's judgment and determination for this world. So he says here, Mark 13:7, and when ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, be ye not troubled, for such things must needs be, but the end shall not be yet. Okay, so this is what we're in, the beginning of sorrows, man. And it's going to culminate fast once the Lord, and we can see it. Things are happening fast. The times are speeding up, just like the Lord said. Okay, for nation shall rise against nation, all right, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be earthquakes in diverse places. There was just an earthquake in Louisiana. Here in the States, Louisiana just had an earthquake. Okay, that's rare. Earthquakes all over the world. All right, perplexity. All right, and there shall be famines and troubles as the food trade, all of that, everything's being disrupted by this man's ill dealings, Esau, Edom. These are the beginning of sorrows. Okay, and then it goes into what? The fact that we're going to have to be delivered up. All right. And this happened to the disciples of Yahweh Shai back then. But, ultimately, all right, some of us are going to be, hoarded or carted off into particular camps. All right. And you're going to have to keep the faith because the Lord is going to be with us even in those moments. Okay. A betrayal amongst, family members, certain brothers you thought were down. The pressure and the ill times that are coming on the earth, evil, Eve, time, ill, bad times are coming up on the earth, perilous times. Okay, as the scriptures say in the book of Second Esdras, all right, the 16th chapter, in the 17th verse, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? All right. The beginning of sorrows, all right, Yahweh Shai quoted Esdras, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death. Because all of these moves that we see being made with these wars and different things are going to have economic effects. It may not hit Babylon right away, right, but eventually it will. Okay, because the petrodollar has America in a position to where things may not hit America as fast as it hits these other nations, but eventually, all right, and through even, different sanctions and moves that Esau's made, it is hell on you Americans already. Okay, but it's going to get even harder. All right, the beginning of wars, and the powers shall stand in fear. The beginning of evils, what shall I do when these evils come? Okay. And Esdras is asking these things because, he's here. Okay. He's just saying, what shall I do when these things come? And he's witnessing, he's prophesying of a time that we're in now, but he's asking, what shall I do? Okay. But only the household of faith are going to tap into understanding what that means. Okay. Behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent for scourges of amendment. These things are sent as judgments. So when we see these things happening, it's not the time to, of course we rejoicing in prophecy coming to pass, but you got to make sure that you're getting your spirit together. You're repenting. You're fighting the demons. You're understanding the position that the Heavenly Father has you in and what he's trying to get out of you. The scriptures say if we should judge ourselves, right? Let's get that. If we should judge ourselves, when we judge ourselves, we are not judged with the world. Let's get that. See, 1 Corinthians 11:31. For if we would judge ourselves, right? Not, sit and think about what you deserve. And no, the Lord has you in a position. There's particular challenges you're going through. All right. Because the Lord is purifying his elect. And the Lord is a hard teacher. So you may be in a position that's not 100% what you want, but it's everything you need. Okay. For when we would, if we would judge ourselves, we should not be judged. But when we are judged, we are chastened of the Lord, that we should not be condemned with the world. So we'll take the hell that we're catching, you know what I'm saying? The hard times. Go bird. A cardinal visited me the other day. Now I have yeah, I had a blue jay. All right, but we'll gladly take the little hell we catch, because these people in the world are catching all kind of hell, and they're getting ready to catch even more hell. Okay, as we were reading, these are the beginnings of sorrows. See, verse 19 again, 2nd Esdras 16. Behold, famine and plague and tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. But for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. So people aren't even mindful that this is the judgment of the Lord. We are mindful of that, right? So then the people ain't turning from their wickedness. People ain't repenting. This world is getting ready to be judged. So the mindset that we should be in is, in spite of the flesh, because it's a battle. The flesh is always going to be a battle against the spirit, but you have to take the molding that the Heavenly Father is putting you through, be thankful for it, and it'll all work out. Behold, victual shall be so good cheap on the earth, that they shall think themselves to be in good case. Because you can go get 20 nuggets, you can go get a big ass TV on sale, right? You can get gadgets, you can get Amazon just sending you packages every day. I ain't even got to go in the store, right? So people think themselves to be in good case, right? The new chicken places being built, right? The taco places being built. Where all this meat coming from, right? This fake meat, okay? And even then shall evils grow upon the earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. Okay? So evils are continuously growing. They're moving forward with their technocracy. Okay? In spite of everything we're witnessing in the news, all right, just know, all right, that the technocracy, all right, AI infrastructure, okay, and the MOTB system will be the answer to the collapse that's coming from the moves that are being made in this war. Now, we're going to start here in Isaiah 47:1. It says, "Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate." And we're living in the virgin daughter of Babylon. You have Babel in Genesis, the 10th and 11th chapter, the Tower of Babel, which was disrupted by the Most High. You have the Neo-Babylonian Empire, which was ruled by Nebuchadnezzar and the Chaldees. All right, then you have Babylon, the great virgin daughter of Babylon, all right, which is ran by the Edomites. Let's give you a clue of how we know it's ran by the Edomites. Well, we know Babylon, okay, is the final kingdom before the Lord sets up the kingdom of heaven. And we know the scriptures say Esau is the end of the world. So there's various clues. And as we went into last night in the book of Joel, the 3rd chapter, that this war that's going to be the end of all, wars and usher in the kingdom of heaven is Esau's world being taken down. You see that? Psalms 138. Psalms 130. Hold up. Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom. Where I haven't got that in a minute. Remember. I thought it was Psalms 138. Let's see here. Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom. Psalms 138. On 137. Salakia. Psalms 137 and 7. Remember, O Lord, the children of Edom. And see these Edomites, the rulers of this world, have done a great job through pseudoscience and confusion of hiding themselves under, white, European, and all of these various. Now we're finding out that these are the Edomites. Okay. In the day of Jerusalem, who said, race it, even to the foundation thereof, during the Neo-Babylonian Empire, they helped, all right, the Babylonians take us down. The Assyrians, it says, O daughter of Babylon, who ought to be destroyed, happy shall he be that rewarded us as thou hast served us. So the Lord is going to remember all of Edom's crimes, all right, through the daughter of Babylon being destroyed. And this is what this situation in Iran is going to lead to. And what we're witnessing is Babylon the Great sit in the dust. The dust represents confusion. All right. And I was checking out this video here by the priest Ayashamath, GMS Kingdom Minded 144. Okay. World War III update, beginning of a new era. The kingdom is at hand. And this video here is going into Trump panicking as war intensifies. Okay. Trump is telling the Iranians to surrender. And again, like the Elder Ariala said yesterday, they haven't really brought out the big dogs as far as war and missiles yet. All right. But what America has ran into as they've been entered into this war is following the small hats, which is clear as day that the small hats, all right, which Epstein was a small hat. You have to understand, as these leaders were, going to this island and doing all of this wickedness, which they try to limit it, to 13, 14, year old girls, all right, as if the Edomite man didn't have any little boys and, newborns and all kind of decrepit things going on. They try to limit it in Western media to, oh, it's 13-year-old girl, 14-year-old girls. It's way worse than that. Okay. But as they were going to this island, okay, there were cameras everywhere. Okay. So basically, they got something on Trump, these small hats. And basically all your whole government has been bought out. All of these devils, all right, who you saw talking about, America first and no more wars and, we're not bringing about a central bank digital currency. Everything is flipped and the American people are through. All of the promises that he's promised have been reneged on. And now America is entering into World War III and the American people are hurt. They're hurt. You see? Because they've done a good job of using the media to keep you divided and keep darker images in your face as the problem. And Pookie and Ray Ray welfare. But look how much money is now being spent of your tax dollars on this war. That people, you Americans didn't ask for this, right? As a matter of fact, let's play this real quick. What's the fight for Israel?
Israel is the reason for this war. America does not want to fight this war for Israel. Let's go. Come on, let's go. America does not want to fight its sons and daughters the war for Israel. Your inability to name that shows your existence as leaders.
So his own people are getting ready to turn on him. And this is just one of the many straits you Edomites are getting ready to be in. All right. Because as this devil is moving towards world domination and towards his perdition, all right, he's being met with issues and problems that are going to have to be addressed. But it's a snare for you devils. All right. And now your everyday American patriot is looking at the government like, wait a minute, we're fighting a war for Israel. Okay. What's it not headset. Rubio got on the news and said the reason we struck Iran is because we know that if they struck Israel or this, they was going to eventually strike us. So we struck them just in case. So you basically, the least of the flock, the small hat, has led you Americans into another war. And as we're going to show you, not only that, now this devil has struck Ecuador. Okay? His devil has struck Ecuador. So long for the MAGA or MAGA, whatever the hell it is, which is an enchantment. As we always show you, that word itself was an enchantment. You people are under the authority of witches and warlocks, man. See that? But you can see here, what is he yelling? This so-called former Marine. Protesting Iran war. Okay, let's check this one out.
Lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties. That often happens in war.
If you voted for this,
please do me a favor. Share this with a few people on your phone. It's the wife of an active duty serviceman. What she has to say, I just wish a few politicians would listen.
I want you to know that I hate you. I mean that. I hate you. And that's not just me speaking out of fear.
Wife of active duty soldier, fury at Trump. And what did she say?
Lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties. That often happens in war.
If you voted for this,
please do me.
I hate you.
If you voted for this, I hate you. So now, all right, and they're even talking about if at some point instilling a draft of, all right, you American teens from 18 to 26, I believe. Okay. As a matter of fact, let's see. All right. Okay, draft possibility. Okay, it was something. And I know one of the articles that was floating around was really from around 2004. Okay. U.S. military draft rules explain as strikes on Iran spark World War III fears. And they're telling the military men that, look, this is Armageddon, nigga, get ready. Again, you got people who were entering into the war with the mindset that they just going to get a stipend and retire, right? Sitting down with their uncle, being persuaded. It worked for me. I just went in there and I did this. And man, shit, it worked out good for me. Look how much I get a month. $8,400. I ain't go to war. And then you take your big ass, right, and listen to that recruit. And now you in Esau's military, but you didn't know that basically you're being enlisted to fight a war, all right, that's a banker's war, and you're going to fight against Yahweh Shai on his return if you're still alive. Congress quietly moves U.S. closer to a military draft. So eventually there could be a draft. If World War III erupts, these are the first U.S. citizens who can get drafted and go into battle. Okay? Let's see here. I forget. You could look it up, but I believe they said, those who the United States would draft first if there were a war, nearly all male U.S. citizens and male immigrants, regardless of immigration status, are required under federal law to register for selective service within 30 days of turning age 18. Okay? Late registrations are allowed until a man reaches his 26th birthday, but failure to do so is considered a felony. Remember Muhammad Ali, right? Now you got people getting on the internet. Well, send your son over there. They ain't gonna send their children over there. They're gonna send your children and your husbands over there, right? And now what you're getting ready to see is the American people are getting ready to riot. That's another aspect of this war that we see happening in Iran is going to lead to economic collapse, people losing faith in their government, all right? And all hell is getting ready to break loose. Okay? Everything that we see happen is strategically happening for the purpose of prophecy being fulfilled.
And that's not just me speaking out of fear or sadness as the spouse of an active duty service member, although I am profoundly sad and incredibly terrified right now. But I still mean it when I say that if you voted for this, I hate you. And if you know me in real life.
And see, you got certain Americans like, you know, they think if Kamala was in there, what she got on at Jesse Jackson's funeral, talking about "I told you," like these people are through, man. As a matter of fact, let's see if we can find that. All right, let's see if we can find that. And this is a good video, but Kamala Harris, Jesse Jackson funeral. Let's see if we can find that. Yo, America's through. America's through. Okay, here we go.
So let me just say, I predicted a lot about what's happening right now.
This is at Jesse Jackson funeral, man. And you got a lot of, and what is the black woman saying? And did that part. As if this nigga was in office, she would have told the small hats no. You don't think they got any dirt on her? All of your American government, governors, presidents, senators, they all right, are under the blackmail of the small hat. They've bought and paid for. It's over. Really, it's been over since that meeting on Jekyll Island with the Federal Reserve being established. Okay? But it's really over now. This nigga.
I'm not into saying I told you so, but we did see it coming. But what I
And did. Did somebody say and did?
we would not have Jesse Jackson on us right now to help us get you.
Well, how would Jesse Jackson help? See, America's a big ball of confusion. Messy Jesse ain't never helped you niggas. Okay? He ain't never helped you. None of these so-called black leaders have ever meant any good to you, man. They were all bought and paid for and set up by your enemy. Point blank, period. The Rainbow Coalition. Okay? And he was supposed to be a reverend, but when did he ever teach the scriptures or a message telling you you're the true Israelites? It's time to awake out of the deep sleep of Babylon the Great, man. You know, see, a lot of people think if Kamala was in there, it would have been better. No, it would have been worse. It would have just been another another approach of going into Iran. And it would have been god awful. I'd rather Esau go out with an Edomite male who's proud as hell, right? Like Trump. I'd rather them go out in that spirit than to see this cackling, all right, drunk auntie. Okay, I know this type of nigga here, right? Some say she a heathen, some say she a Jake. It really don't matter. She's off, and she's she doesn't represent anything good. But our people saw, just like Obama, someone who looks like with a so-called black look, and think all of a sudden they got a leader or somebody who has no. All of these people are involved in the wickedness you're finding out that's going on. You give her a shot of Moscato. I mean, not a shot, but a glass of Moscato, all right, or a shot of tequila, and she was drunk as hell during her campaign. So just imagine her around those Edomite males and all rubbing elbows with these devils as they are off camera in these parties. It's a freak show, and you Israelites should be ashamed of yourself looking at this and thinking, and it's mainly the black woman. Okay? See, the Edomite woman chose her white man when it was all said and done. They gave you this whole feminist ideology bullshit, but when it was all on the line, the Edomite woman said, look, nigga, we go stand behind our Edomite man, and left you black woman out to dry. Now y'all sitting up talking about, we told y'all, this is what y'all voted for. It would have went that way either way it went. Okay? Because this is prophecy being fulfilled. And this is what you have to understand. So as you see this Edomite woman complaining that Trump is, what did Trump say? Listen to what he said.
Lives of courageous American heroes may be lost and we may have casualties. That often happens in war.
If you voted for real life and you're watching this and you're shocked because you're thinking to yourself, "Oh, well, I voted for this and I know Kendall and I know that she couldn't possibly hate me. She knows me." I want you to know it goes for you too. In fact, not only does it go for you too, I hate you twice as much as the strangers that voted for this. And you are delusional. If you think that you get to look me in my eyes and tell me that you care about me while actively cheering on the man who made it very clear from the very beginning that he would happily send my husband, my soulmate, to die in a foreign country. This is monstrous. It's monstrous.
And prophecy said this would happen. Let's get 2 Ezra 16. Let's finish up on that thought we were already in. Okay? Verse 22, 2 Ezra 16 and 22. For many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. And the dead shall be cast out as the dung, and there shall be no man to comfort them. For the earth shall be wasted, and the city shall be cast down. Why? Through war. For there shall be no man left to till the earth and to sow it. All right, then let's jump down to verse 31. Even so, in those days, there shall be 3 or 4 left by them that search their houses with the sword, and the earth shall be laid waste, and the fields thereof shall wax old, and her ways and all her paths shall grow full of thorns, because no man shall travel through. The virgins shall mourn, having no bridegrooms. The women shall mourn, having no husbands. Their daughters shall mourn, having no helpers. In the wars shall their bridegrooms be destroyed, and their husbands shall perish of famine. So Trump is sending your spouses and your sons and your daughters, which no woman has any goddamn business fighting in a war. You go over there into the joining the military, and it comes out, which it only makes sense that you use the sex toys, because you're around these men who've been away from their wives and families. When they get in heat, what you think who's gonna be the victim? These courageous warrior men with your ass in the midst of them, talking about this my brother. That he go take it. And this is why OG told me, don't you mess with no woman that been in the military. Especially the ones that were deep in there. Because boy, oh boy, it gets down and dirty. Okay? And you're left defenseless. You can't defend yourself against these men. They got guns. All right? And the rest is history. Okay? I think I did a video. I may reload that video. But again, in the war shall their bridegrooms be destroyed, and their husbands shall perish of famine. And this is getting ready to happen. It's already been happening, but it's getting ready to happen on a whole nother level. And this is what, all right, this Edomite is mad about.
Struck a school building. More than 50 little girls are dead this morning because of the man you installed in the most powerful office in the world. That's on you. And I don't know how you're going to live with yourself with that knowledge. Probably an unhealthy dose of delusion and lack of empathy for anyone else on this planet. But I can say that I don't have to live with you. I don't have to have you in my life. I don't have to have monsters in my life. And at this point, if you're still supporting this administration, you're a monster. You are a monster. You are irredeemable trash. And frankly, I do not care. The one thing I will say, I apologize to my mother for any shocked and upset phone calls she gets from people in my hometown about this video, but I'm not sorry for making it, because I want you to know. I want you to know how deep my hatred for you runs right now if you voted for this. You.
F you. That's what she said. Look at those ice cold blue Edomite eyes. Hurt. Okay? And Brad is gonna go over there and lose an arm, okay, and bleed out, according to prophecy. Okay, and this is the sentiment of a lot of, all right, military wives, what they call hurt on the internet, complaining, mad, right? Hey, prophecy is being fulfilled, man. The American people are waking up to the fact that their government don't give two shits about them.
People who literally were like grabbing their hammers.
Influencers forced to sleep on ground and basement parking lot amid Iran strikes. Now, some of these people who, were vacationing in Dubai and different surrounding areas in what is called the Middle East, some of them are getting back, but they're catching hell. It's terror being brought upon them. They're living in doubt. The saint in the center, he eventually got back, and now he's over. He's doing videos. You could tell his countenance changed. He hurt. It messed him up. See, that he was stuck in doubt of his life, didn't know what was getting ready to happen. But the fact that he got a little money, he said he was able to eventually get back to the States. All right, but now he's just doing video. Iran is not the bad guy. Our U.S. government, Trump, send your son over there. The American people are getting ready to lose it. All right, to lose it.
Dubai is known for luxury holidays, influencer hotspots, and five-star hotels. But this weekend, tourists in some of the city's most glamorous properties found themselves sleeping in basements and parking garages. As Iranian missile strikes hit the region, hotels across Dubai began evacuating guests to underground areas for safety. At Fairmont the Palm, a luxury hotel on the man-made Palm Jumeirah Island, guests were woken in the middle of the night and told to move below ground. Social media footage showed hundreds of makeshift sleeping spaces set up on lower levels and in parking areas. Mattresses were laid out across basement floors as guests waited for the all clear.
Hurt.
Air raid alerts were also sent directly to smartphones, the same phones many tourists had been using to capture holiday pictures. Authorities urged people in affected areas to take cover. One hotel guest, Mia Planer, shared her experience online. She said she had been out on a boat all day Saturday when she saw missiles raining down. That evening, she returned to her hotel, 5 Palm Beach, Jumeirah.
And these people better be careful what they post online over there in Dubai. They got some very strict rules. So a lot of you can be online, mad, cursing, saying things, and you can go to jail. All right, for cursing out a security guard or in public, intoxicated cursing. You can't do that over there. You seen last year the so-called black woman went over there and tried to be Keisha, and it didn't work out for her. They held her ass for about some months. Okay.
She and other guests were then voluntarily evacuated to the hotel's basement car park. In the videos, she showed hundreds of guests just grab their Hermes and channel bags and ran to...
See, these people weren't in tune with prophecy. If you understood prophecy, you're not fit to travel to no goddamn Dubai right now. Mexico. You got people stuck in Mexico where, the cartels are targeting U.S. citizens over there. No flights.
The basement floor.
People who literally were like grabbing their hammers.
She described it as the craziest experience she had ever witnessed. Planner said she stayed in the basement shelter from 12 a.m. to 5 a.m. After that, staff gave guests permission to return to their hotel rooms. The United Arab Emirates Ministry of Defense said on Sunday that air defenses had dealt with 165 ballistic missiles, 2 cruise missiles, and more than 540 Iranian drones over 2 days. Officials said all air attacks on Saturday were intercepted. However, debris from intercepted weapons still caused damage. Fires broke out at several iconic locations. Social media images showed flames outside the Fairmont Hotel on Palm Jumeirah. Fire also licked the outer facade of the Burj Al Arab. There was also a fire at Dubai's Jebel Ali port, the city's main sea terminal and a major shipping hub.
Imagine being over there. You thought you was on vacation, right? And all you're in the middle of all of this, and you told you can't get home. Imagine what was going on in these people's minds.
Dubai International Airport was damaged and 4 employees were injured, according to the Dubai media office.
So take your little judgment and what you believers, the little hell you're going through, take it joyfully. It's not easy. I know, because I'm catching it myself. The Lord is teaching me lessons about myself. I'm learning daily. We ain't, outside of the realm of judgment. But again, repent, because the Lord is putting people in some crazy situation. And this is just the beginning. Some of these people will be able to come back, but what's next?
Over the weekend, airspace closures stranded thousands of travelers. For now, life in Dubai is slowly resuming. But the images of tourists sleeping in parking garages show just how quickly even the world's most glamorous cities can be pulled into regional conflict. What do you think about how Dubai handled the situation?
People go on vacations just to post pictures of themselves so they can show off to their friends that they living this good life. Boom! Next thing you know, your ass land on a floor in a basement. All right, phone not working. You calling the the different places to try to, and they hanging up on you. Okay, a lot of Jake over here,
Now to the war with Iran. President Trump is demanding the unconditional surrender of the Islamic Republic.
But the Islamic State appears to show no interest in surrendering as the war now heads into its second week. U.S. forces have hit over 3,000 targets in the first week of Operation Epic Fury. And according to Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth, the U.S. is showing no sign of slowing down.
We have team coverage of the fierce fighting, the president's ultimatum, and the impact of the war at home. Let's begin first with John Fenoglio with tonight's developments.
Tonight, relentless widespread airstrikes across Iran. The U.S. and Israel's attacks now in their 8th day. This reporter with Iranian state TV running for cover as a strike lands nearby. Iran continuing to launch counterattacks on Israel and at military and civilian targets throughout, continuing to hammer Iran's most powerful proxy, Hezbollah, in Lebanon. Tens of thousands of civilians have fled Beirut suburbs after Israeli evacuation warnings. The U.S. says it has significantly diminished Iran's military and that counterattacks have slowed. Nearly 20,000 Americans in the Middle East returning to the U.S. The State Department scrambling to get people out, but thousands remain stranded.
Having the State Department or whoever tell us, you need to get out immediately. Well, but there's no help. So you're on your own to get your own travel plans. And that was the most stressful thing.
The war
you're on your own.
Expanding to at least 14 countries, and tonight numerous reports that Russia is providing Iran with intelligence about the locations of U.S. troops and weapons in the region. President Trump visibly frustrated when asked about it late Friday.
Can I be honest? It's just, I have a lot of respect for you. You've always been very nice to me. What a stupid question that is to be asking at this time. We're talking about something else. Can we keep this maybe a little bit? Go ahead, please.
The Iranian attacks have killed at least 6 U.S. service members.
You really believe it's just 6? Okay. So again, as a matter of fact, we'll jump into this video here just to show you a little the sorrows, the beginning of sorrows, and what it looks like for certain Americans. Let's go here to this video done by the priest Ayashamaf. Okay, World War III update, beginning of a new era. The kingdom is at hand. Let's listen to some of this. We'll get a few other videos and articles. There's another angle I wanted to tap into, but I'll probably do a whole nother news and prophecy tomorrow for that one. We'll just see where the Spirit takes us. All right. Let's see.
Trump is panicking as Americans in the Middle East are scrambling, and there is no
small hands. They so trifling. This is a trifling ass government, man. But what's happening well deserved. You Edomites. It's always good to hear bad news for you Edomites. Okay, let's play this real quick.
Donald Trump is panicking as Americans in the Middle East are scrambling, and there is no plan by United States embassies to evacuate them. The market is tanking. The price of oil is surging. Donald Trump has created an utter catastrophe. Let's go through piece by.
That's it. That's that cruel Lord in Isaiah the 19th chapter. Isaiah 19 and 19. Okay, and I will set the Egyptian against the Egyptians. I always like to get this in the NLT or the GNT. I will make Egyptian fight against Egyptian. These people are getting ready to lose it. Brother against brother, and neighbor against neighbor, city against city, and province against province. Nothing but division. The Egyptians will lose heart, and I will confuse their plans of MAGA. That's done. Okay, and again, let's just look it up. All right. MAGA sorcery. Witch. Right. The word maga in Italian means magic, woman, sorceress. All right. And what is America known as in Revelation, the 17th chapter? Let's get it. All right. Who was that that used to say that? Jeezy? All right. Well, your world is ran by the real Jeezy, the real snowman, right? What's that? Revelation 17, right? Revelation 17 and 1. And there came one of the 7 angels which had the 7 vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, Come hither, and I will show thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. All right. And this word whore, right? Why is America likened unto a whore if women are so innocent? The Greek word porne, and to get to the point, metaphorically an adulteress of Babylon, i.e. Rome, the chief seat of adultery. So Babylon the Great is the revival of Rome. Okay? And we don't need Blue Letter to know and understand that. You can clearly see it. With whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication. One of the greatest ways of committed fornication is to take on that US dollar. See, in those Arab nations over there, okay, and what they call the Middle East made deals with Babylon, right? To, trade their oil in dollars to be protected by them. And now they ain't being protected. One of the biggest ways to commit fornication with America is through that dollar, which is burning and biting all kind of nations in the ass through sanctions, through them trying to control your government. Okay? And Babylon the Great is called a city. So the Christians are, the Babylon can't be America because it says a city. What one city, which America is a big, gigantic city divided into 10 area codes because you're a citizen of the United States. But what one city, all right, rules over the kings of the earth? Look, you Christians can do all you want to try to get, God to bless America. It ain't going to happen. The inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So again, this MAGA thing spoke to witchcraft. America is an Italian word, which means bitter. Amargo, mara, myrrh, bitter. MAGA is a Latin word that means magic. Okay? In the Greek, maga or magos, which translates to a sorcerer, magician, a wise man, an astrologer, often referring to the magi, which the magi's, all right, are the ones who are ruling this whole setup. These witches and warlocks who has their hands in the back of your president, your governor, your senator, all of them. But guess who has a hand in their back? All right, the Most High, all right, through his left hand to fulfill the Satan's agenda on the earth, man. Isaiah 19:3. And the Egyptians will lose heart. This is the modern day Egypt. Okay? Many customs that we follow day in and day out here in America go back to Egypt. Bowling, fishnet stockings, eyeliner, okay, wigs, red, white, and blue, beer. Okay, we're in Egypt all over again, man. Right? Contraceptives. So you don't have a baby. Condoms, dildos. Right? Bet you didn't know. All these things go back to Egypt, which the Greeks and the Romans took on all of these customs, and now we're living in a spiritual Sodom in Egypt. They will plead with their idols for wisdom and call upon spirits, mediums, and those who consult the spirits of the dead. And I will hand Egypt over to a hard, cruel master. A fierce king will rule them. And as you continue reading down, everything gets worse for Egypt. All right, once this cruel lord is set in power, man. It just leads to economic collapse, right? Things failing, no work, the leaders becoming foolish and giving stupid advice, right? As a matter of fact, let's jump to verse 13. The officials of Zoan are fools. The officials of Memphis are deluded. The leaders of the people have led Egypt astray. The Lord has sent a spirit of foolishness on them, so all their suggestions are wrong. They cause Egypt to stagger like a drunk vomit. It's just going to lead to what? Economic collapse. These people are getting ready to lose it. Okay? They're getting ready to lose it. So what is he saying? Let's back it up a little bit.
Bad news for you Edomites. Okay, let's play this real quick.
Donald Trump is panicking as Americans in the Middle East are scrambling. There is no plan by United States embassies to evacuate them. The market is tanking. The price of oil is surging. Donald Trump has created an utter catastrophe. Let's go through piece by piece, evidence by evidence, what's going on right now this morning on Tuesday. So the U.S. Embassy issued this announcement. They're stating the U.S. Embassy of Jerusalem, that is not in a position at this time to evacuate or directly assist Americans in departing Israel. The following is provided for your information as you make your own security plans. So despite the United States spending billions of dollars on this embassy in Jerusalem and giving billions of dollars to Israel, the United States is unable to evacuate its own people. And you'll remember the message I showed you yesterday where the various U.S. embassies throughout the Middle East told everybody, evacuate now, get out of the Middle East, try to find a commercial flight. Good luck. Try to find a commercial flight. You do realize that Iran is now striking all of the surrounding airports in the Middle East. You do realize that Donald Trump has engulfed the Middle East in about what the missions or objectives are. And then last night or yesterday afternoon, Donald Trump and his regime officials and sycophants, whether it was Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, or whether it was MAGA Mike Johnson, they're saying the reason that we had to invade and attack Iran is that Israel was going to attack Iran first.
So they're telling American citizens in these embassies to find your own way out. Because they usually send special force, operations. They usually put together, special force logistics and operations to, during times of war to go to rescue, all right, those U.S. citizens out of the war zone. Okay, but this time they're saying, look, you can find your way out. Do what you got to do, and it just shows you. And what Trump is showing you too is that the government doesn't care about you people, man. They don't care about you going. They show you every day they don't care. Okay, they got a new world order agenda. Okay, and then it ain't working out for them like they running into these scripts. So the scriptures say they should be in scripts. So this nigga is frustrated, man. He ain't got time to come rescue you niggas, man. He got, you see, this nigga got the surprise of his life with Iran. He didn't know them niggas had all that over there. Okay, so he trying to figure that out. He got Russia and China still in the background because he got to think. You got to think the West is like, damn, Iran doing this by themselves. So what the hell if China and Russia join in? Shit, what's this gonna look like? So this nigga got a lot on his mind, man. So he done told y'all these American citizens in these embassies, man. Shit, y'all find the nearest airport. Find your airport that blew up. Get your ass back yourself, man. So it's just terrible, man. All right, y'all got a trifling government, okay? And you Americans, okay? You were cheerleading, all right, a few months ago with Venezuela. Now, okay, you're getting embarrassed, man. Okay? And the Lord is, when the scripture say, I will put over thee a cruel Lord.
That's it.
Okay? Trump don't give a damn, man. All right? Technocrats, he's from a different group of Edomites, man. These technocrats, man. Okay? You're just data to them. All right? And
they don't care.
These data centers anyway. Okay?
And then Iran would retaliate against the United States. That's when we had to attack Iran. to do regime change, but it's not regime change now. They're trying to find someone in the Islamic Republic who would be friendlier to Donald Trump. And meanwhile, there's nobody who wants to have that role. I mean, they
don't want to negotiate with you because you'll bomb while negotiating. People, I mean, everybody's waking up. Who's been burnt by Babylon, they're waking up. And the allies that you have over there in the area of Saudi Arabia and the Middle East, you ain't able to protect them. So everything's going bad. All of these moves that this devil is making are leading to more hell on America, man. See?
Turned the Ayatollah, who was 85 years old, who was unpopular in a lot of areas. Like they allowed him to, become like a martyr now amongst the Shiite community, who's out there, chanting death to America right now at these mass protests. I mean, this utterly backfired. They didn't think this through. The Ayatollah was old anyway. The younger population was, growing and protesting and saying they wanted democracy. And then the Trump regime betrayed those protesters early in January when they were out on the street. And Trump says, I've got your back, and then didn't do anything. And 30,000, 40,000 protesters got massacred. So, of course, they're terrified to go out right now and protest or do things. Just take a look at what's going on throughout the Middle East as the United States tells its own citizens, good luck. We wish you the best. Try to find a commercial airport somewhere, but we can't help you. Thick black smoke is pouring on Tuesday from the port of Fujairah in the United Arab Emirates, located on the Gulf of Oman, as one of the UAE's only oil terminals south of the Strait of Hormuz, following a drone attack this morning on oil storage tanks. Another infrastructure at the port of Iran by Iran is blown up. I mean, take a look at it. I'll show you video right here of an Iranian one-way attack drone slamming into the port of Duqm in Oman this morning as Iran continues to launch both drones and missiles at the Gulf nations and countries across the Middle East. Here's more photos of the Salalah port in the Omani Dhofar Governorate. You can see these economic areas being hit by Iran in retaliation for the U.S. strikes. Take a look right here. Israel is now evacuating its embassy staff from the UAE, including Dubai and Abu Dhabi, back to Israel. They did that in a special operation. More Israel strikes, of course, in Iran. What we learned took place earlier today. The building housing Iran's assembly of experts in Qom was entirely destroyed by several strikes from the Israeli Air Force, with senior Israeli officials stating that the target was a meeting of the Iranian Supreme Council, where government and religious leaders were gathering to choose a new supreme leader.
So these devils are, it ain't working out like they thought. Remember, this man is used to being a hammer, the bully, but all of the weaker nations that were once weak, they've now anteed up. They're ready. You got to understand, Iran, after what happened to Iraq, has been planning for this very day. And the Lord has put a proud spirit on Esau, Edom, a hardened heart to just continue with his reign of terror. But again, he's being led, all right, as the GMS Des Moines posted. Let me get it here in Jeremiah 18:7, or Job 18:7. The steps of his strength shall be straightened, and his own counsel shall cast him down. You see that? His steps are being straightened. Straighten means what? He's in a position of difficulty because he got to keep going. He can't stop. Okay? Because again, the Lord has the spirit of Satan on these people. So even if they, say they come to some type of agreement, eventually the devil is going to continue. Because this war is the war that ultimately is going to determine who controls the new world order. So the Lord has all of these people in the trick bag. But there's going to be consequences here in the States and worldwide for the moves that are being made, because they want to collapse all economies to bring about this NWO. For he is cast into a net by his own feet, and he walketh upon a snare. You see that? Scripture say, I've laid a snare for thee, O Babylon, and thou was not aware. So your own pride is going to be your downfall. Okay? Neither keepeth at home. He's all over the world, and we see that this man is a maniac. Meanwhile, he'll keep the camera in front of a Crip and a Blood and a nigga, right? Which, hey, they got to be destroyed too. There's nothing good about a nigga. There's nothing good about a drug dealer, a pimp, a bad bitch, and everything that we've been portrayed as by this devil in his accusation. We ain't claiming that. We speak against that. But you're an even bigger thug. You're an even bigger drug dealer. You're even bigger sodomite. You're even bigger disease spreader. You're even bigger deadbeat dad. Okay, look where you're just leaving your children out to dry. The gin shall take him by the heel, the hand on the heel, and the robber shall prevail against him. The snare is laid for him on the ground, and a trap for him by the way. Terror shall make him afraid on every side, and shall drive him to his feet. As it says in the book of Isaiah 47. I thought I had it. Let's get Isaiah 47, man. Them enchantments ain't working like they used to. Okay? Isaiah 47 and 10. For thou hast trusted in thy wickedness, the sacrifice, the orgies, the child. I mean, come on, man. Thou hast said, none seeth me. Thy wisdom and thy knowledge it have perverted thee, and thou hast said in thine heart, I am, and none else beside me. Therefore shall evil come upon thee, thou shalt not know from where it riseth. And mischief shall fall upon thee, and thou shalt not be able to put it off. And desolation shall come upon thee suddenly, which thou shalt not know. Stand now with thine enchantments and with the multitude of thy sorceries. MAGA was a sorcery, wherein thou hast labored from thy youth. If so be thou may be able to profit, if so thou mayest prevail. Thou art wearied in the multitude of thy counsels. See, they're meeting and, consulting these demons and doing sacrifices ain't working like it used to. Let now the astrologers, the stargazers, and the monthly prognosticators stand up and save thee from these things that shall come upon thee. You ain't gonna get out of your judgment. Let's get Micah. Micah 2 and 2 and 1. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hands. See? They just do wickedness because they can. Okay? And they covet fields and take them by violence. See? And this is what the leaders of Israel were doing. Now, this is you Edomites. Okay? Basically, when you made that deal with the Arab nations that you would protect them if they sold their oil in dollars, you went over there and you found out, oh shit, it's oil over here. And then you started to covet the land. And then the state of Israel, which was established in 1948, okay, they started to think, okay, we can do this, we can do that. And now it's nothing but friction and turmoil in that area. Okay, a burdensome stone is that region. See that? Because of your ill dealings and your pride and your arrogance and your reluctancy to stop. Nigga won't stop. When you want a piece of land, you find a way to seize it. When you want someone's house, you take it by fraud and violence. And then you use the Western media and propaganda to call out these people as just these terrorists, these hateful monsters. As a matter of fact, let's go to this video here.
So Candace Owens went on with propagandist extraordinaire Piers Morgan, who could walk up to a Palestinian woman with a dead baby in her hands and say, "But do you condemn Hamas?" And well, guess what? I'll give him this. He's got the courage to bring on Candace Owens, who gives him a dressing down every time she's on his show. Every time Candace goes on his show, she obliterates him. And this is no different. So I guess I got to give it up for him. Here we go.
In that America wants a regime change in Iran is because Bibi Netanyahu is demanding it. And that answers the question as to why there is this split in the MAGA movement. What we are seeing right now is the infiltration of Israel.
Let me slow it down because he got it sped up and I got it sped up. And sometimes, I've heard complaints of sometimes the video is too fast. Well, if you go here, right? Settings, playback speed, you can either slow it down or you can speed it up. So if you coming to the point where you're into the video and then I play a video and it sounds super fast, you can slow that part of the video down. Hey, it's a labor. Hey, we labor and you got to labor. Shit. We can't make it all easy. You know, look, everything will be easy because this is a lot of information we're abridging and cramming into, you know, an hour or 45 minutes or sometimes 2 hours. Okay. And I got to, you know, I had to take my old program, Camtasia, off of this computer because it was taking up too much room. So now I'm just recording off of, you know, the screen recorder built into the computer, but it doesn't show me the time. So I'm losing, I don't know how long I've been going now. But let me let me just make this regular. Yeah, you know, Candace Owens controlled opposition, but hey, their own tongue will go fall on themselves. Some of these people do say things that are true. Okay.
In that America wants a regime change in Iran is because Bibi Netanyahu is demanding it. And that answers the question as to why there is this split in the MAGA movement. What we are seeing right now is the infiltration of Israel first people, the neocons, people who have always wanted never-ending wars, and the people who have recognized that following Israel's foreign policy initiatives has led to America being on the decline. And we also are completely done with the idea that with this decades-long idea that we're doing it to spread democracy because we believe in international liberalism. There was no imminent threat to the United States when Trump made this decision to do what Bibi wanted. And I want to be clear here. This was not Trump's decision. It was Bibi Netanyahu's decision. And that is the reason that he did it. And we're very aware that Israel is dictating our foreign policy, and we would now like that to stop.
Okay, but you wouldn't disagree, presumably, that Iran has been the main sponsor of terrorism in the Middle East through the Houthis, through Hezbollah, through Hamas. I mean, that's why.
You hear that propaganda? That's Piers Morgan he's a proud devil boy. And I like his show because he'll bring people on and just allow it, and it's just constant debates back and forth. I like it. I like his show. I catch it sometimes, but there's so much happening that, you know, you miss a lot. And this is where the likes of Jimmy Dore and, you know, these other third witness candidates, you know, help us, you know, by just doing the video and bringing it out. But immediately when confronted with what the small hats are doing and how America is doing the bidding of the small hat, he brings up how, you know, the Iran regime, they're nothing but terrorists, they this, they that. Well, how does this affect America? And how does it affected you? Okay? The American people have the same, you know, thoughts of their own government. Right? Again, neither keepeth at home. What's that? The book of Habakkuk. We'll go to that. Let's just get a little bit more of this.
Widely accepted and recognized. They've done it.
Things widely accepted. Now that's just kind of Israel has been a terrorist state. Okay, Israel right now is imparting.
Do you not condemn Hamas? Have you never been? You've never been? You don't condemn Hamas? Wait a minute. There's somebody else who's a bigger terrorist in the Middle East? Oh, that's right. It's Israel. The people committing a genocide right now in front of your face, and he's still upset at Iran? Yes. Okay, let's watch. She gets a watch.
Widely accepted. Now that's just kind of Israel has been a terrorist state. Okay, Israel right now is imparting a genocide and a Holocaust on the Gazan people. So I'm really over this idea like somehow Israel has the moral high ground and we have to get behind them.
I didn't say that.
To go after the bad guys.
I wasn't saying that.
We have.
Look, we can come to God.
I wasn't saying that. I was just implying it, like I always do. That was just the gist and the emotional emphasis that I was putting. I was saying that. But I didn't say it specifically in those words verbatim. No.
I think we'll reach agreement about what Israel's government's been doing there in the last few months.
It's relevant. If you're going to call Iranians terrorists, if they right now had an open concentration camp where they were mass killing their own people, while at the same time they are executing a genocide and a Holocaust in Gaza that the world is watching. So who's the bigger terrorist is the question today. I would say as an American that if we're going to get behind a regime change, it should be in Israel first. So that would be my position. I think the position of a lot of people who are waking up to the fact that Zionism.
I would love for her to force him to answer that question, though. Who's the bigger? So the question of today is, who's the bigger terrorist, Israel or Iran? I would love to hear her force him to answer that question. And believe me, he's going like this, whew, inside, that she didn't force me to answer that question. That's exactly what she's. Oh my God! Wow! Here we go.
has
And then she says the regime change should happen in Israel, not Iran. And he knows she's right. By all of this, he knows.
The position of a lot of people who are waking up to the fact that Zionism has brought us nothing but grief in America. Can you name one positive thing that Zionists have contributed to America? That us fighting these perpetual wars on behalf of Zionism has contributed to America? There's no imminent threat. He could have taken this to Congress and he could have allowed the people's representatives to wait 2 weeks. And then he didn't wait 2 weeks because Bibi Netanyahu, at least according to the Israeli press, if you believe it, said, we're not waiting 2 weeks. We want this done immediately. But I will say you are correct. He's not just doing this because Bibi Netanyahu demands it. He's also doing it because Miriam Adelson demands it. He took $100 million from Miriam Adelson. It was very clear what she wanted. She was clear that she wanted to annex the West Bank. So there was an imperialist plan that was put into place. And unfortunately, when you do a deal with the devil, you're going to have to eventually deliver the pound of flesh. And that is what Trump is doing, in my opinion. And more evidence of that is the fact when he tweeted that there could be a Trump hotel in Gaza. I mean, that was truly, in my opinion, HIAS. And she says it explicitly, which she said was started by them in the 1880s, which includes people, immigrants that have come in like Sergey Brin. They are still the organization that's operating at our border right now. Okay, that is problematic that we have open borders while we continually and routinely are told that we have to defend somebody else's borders. Okay, and again, these never-ending wars in the Middle East at the behest of Israel. Bibi Netanyahu was the one that called for Americans to invade Iraq, Libya, Syria, Afghanistan, and now Iran, and we've done it. We're told Israel can defend itself. Okay, so why do we have currently 2,000 troops that are in Syria under the guise of fighting ISIS? And like I said, we know Israel themselves fund terror-adjacent militants like they did to overthrow Assad. And we're done with the BS of, okay, well, they weren't really involved, Israel, in Afghanistan, because even when we fight those never-ending wars, Israel wins. Everybody knows that our boys were out there in Afghanistan guarding poppy fields, okay? And do you know what happened after we allegedly, quote unquote, lost in Afghanistan? What happened to all those poppy fields, those poppy flowers that our military was guarding? Well, the opioid crisis hit America via the Sackler family, who quite literally built the School of Medicine at Tel Aviv University. So we're just done, okay? And there's no way that we're going to go.
Everything that she's saying is true. All right? Thine own mouth condemn thee.
Backwards. We're not going to allow you guys to emotionally condition us to go, oh, well, we got to protect Israel because of the Holocaust. It is over. They're imparting a Holocaust. America was like off this crazy train.
Whoa. Whoa. And that's exactly, I'm getting my clock cleaned over here. She is handing my ass to me.
And see, the scriptures call you devils out. Micah 2:1. What sorrow awaits people who lie awake at night thinking of evil plans? You rise at dawn and hurry to carry them out, simply because you have the power to do so. When you want a piece of land, you find a way to seize it. When you want someone's house, you take it by fraud and violence. You cheat a man of his property, stealing his family's inheritance. But this is what the Lord says: I will reward your evil with evil, and you won't be able to pull your neck out of the noose. I.e. Haman. Look up Haman and his story in Purim, which we just got out of, a holy day. You will no longer walk around proudly, for it will be a terrible time. In that day, your enemies will make fun of you by singing a song of despair about you. We are finished, completely ruined. God has confiscated our land. We got these devils all amongst us, because when these devils, all right, which I'll go into this video. Let's see here. This video that this brother went into on this video. All right. Going into the history of what they call the Middle East. You know, when this devil had his, once he found out, they can win with the, the oil and all of that over here, and they made these deals with the Arab nations, he never stopped. Then you have the Greater Israel Project. They have not stopped. Again, what did Habakkuk say? Man, it's so much. It is so much happening, man. And I think I've reached the time that I wanted to go on this lesson. So we'll get into the other aspects of what I wanted to go into in another lesson, because it is a lot of information going into that so-called Middle East thing, which we're all learning as well as these things happen. The Lord is opening up our understanding to see prophecy, all right, face to face. Soon Yahweh Shai will be here, man. All right, Habakkuk 2:4. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith. because he's getting ready to go in. Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto himself all nations and heapeth unto him all people. By the, led by Amalek, this is their goal. The EU and NATO ain't innocent either. They've aided in what happened in Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, Syria. Okay, because they want this whole region. Okay, so that they can ultimately forge a birthright for themselves. That's what it's all about. And rule going into this NWO. Okay.
And I've got a sore wrist. I don't know how to hold. I can't hold up my ass anymore.
Well, you're supposed to be hypnotized by my British dialect. You're not supposed to go into detail.
So you see Esau is cursing out Esau. Let's listen to a little bit of this and we'll get up out of here.
Talk about something uncomfortable, and let me hit you with the part they don't want you to focus on right now. In just a handful of days, America has managed to do something that should be impossible for a country that spends around $1 trillion a year on defense. We're already talking about running out of weapons against Iran. Not eventually, not, hey, if this turns into a long war. We're talking about right now, the kind of shortage that forces the White House to drag the CEOs of the biggest missile companies on Earth into a room and basically say, hey, stop everything you're doing right now. We need more, and we need more yesterday. Reports right now that the administration is meeting with top defense contractors at the White House, specifically because strikes on Iran are diminishing U.S. stockpiles tremendously, especially long-range munitions like Tomahawk missiles. Think about that. And of course, interceptor missiles, which are being exhausted by Iranian attacks. Of course, you won't see this in the mainstream media. For whatever reason, the mainstream media is ignoring this. There is a blackout. Even CNN.
The mainstream media, see, let's get 2nd Edges 15. All right. 2nd Edges 15 and 28. Behold, a horrible vision and appearance thereof from the east. And this is the beginning of that. Wherein the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots. All right. They're going to work out their differences. All right. And they shall be carried away as the wind upon the earth. And all they which hear them may fear and tremble. All right. And again, the small hats are at the forefront of this. Okay. Babylon and the small hats are at the forefront of all of this friction in the East. Okay. Also, the Carmanians, which is Iran. Okay. Look up Carmania. Ancient Carmania is a region in Iran. Raging in wrath shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood. And with great power shall they come and join battle with them and waste a portion of the land of the Assyrians. Okay. And Assyria in prophecy is Babylon. All you have to do is, let me give you an example of that. Let's just type in Egypt, Assyria, right? And let's go to Hosea. Let's see here. Hosea 11 and 11. They shall tremble as a bird out of Egypt and as a dove out of the land of Assyria. And I will place them in their houses, said the Lord. This is basically prophecy of the Israelites getting out of their captivity. Okay. And the final captivity is this modern day Egypt, which can also be likened to Assyria, because Assyria, that were tyrants, they had a great military. So the final captivity would be likened unto Egypt and Assyria, also Sodom, Babylon, all of that, right? And I will, Zechariah 10 and 10, and I will bring them again also out of the land of Egypt and gather them out of Assyria and bring them into the land of Gilead and Lebanon, and place shall not be found for them. And he shall pass through the sea with affliction and shall smite the wave of the sea, the second Exodus, right? And all the deeps of the river shall dry up, and the pride of Assyria shall be brought down, and the scepter of Egypt shall, all right, fade away. Okay, Isaiah 27 and 13. And it shall come to pass, all right, that day that the great trumpet shall be blown, and they shall come which were ready to perish in the land of Assyria and the outcast of Egypt, and shall worship the Lord at the holy mount. So our final captivity is likened unto Assyria and Egypt as well. Isaiah 11 and 16. And there shall be a highway for the remnant of his people, which shall be left from Assyria, like as it were like as it was to Israel in the day that they came out of the land of Egypt. And there's more. All right. And again, Iran striking military bases in the east is likened unto them striking America as well. So when it says waste a portion of the land of Assyria, okay, eventually they may attack, but they're already attacking America by attacking those bases that they have over there in those areas. Okay, point blank, period. As a matter of fact, real quick, to give you an example of that, I think this is the one.
I hope everyone
And we'll go more into this video in another one, but I think this is the one, or was it another one? Nah, that's not it. That's not it. It was another one he did. Let's see. Is this it?
So we continue our
Something where he's going into it. Hold up. This may be it. Hold up.
So
Yep, I think this is it. Hold up. Let's see here. Around 3 minutes. Let's see.
they're going to start. How much food does the GCC get from overseas? 80%. 80%. You guys don't know this, but
there we go.
how hard it attacks? The answer is attacking is. And what can you do in mountains? We can hide rocket bases. You can hide. All right, this is Iran. This is GCC. Okay, this is not a fair matchup, right? Because these are mountains. And what can you do in mountains? We can hide rocket bases. You can hide drone bases. You can hide missiles. And that's the entire Iranian offensive strategy, all right? From here, they can hide missiles and drones from which to attack the GCC. And what are they attacking? They're attacking three things, right? They're attacking American military bases. American military bases. That's number one. Okay? Is it possible for the Americans to defend against these attacks? The answer is no. It's the serious thing in the world. You have all these bases in the Middle East, but you cannot defend them against the Iranians. That's kind of strange. Okay, but that's number one. Number two is oil and energy. How hard is it to blow up an oil field with a drone? Not hard at all. Can you defend these oil fields? No, you cannot. All right? Number three, and this is most important, is water. Okay? You guys don't know this, but the GCC has little access to fresh water. So the only way that it can produce water is what we call desalination plants, okay?
And we'll go more into it, but as you can see, they're attacking those U.S. bases over there. Attacking those bases is just like attacking America. So we're already seeing them waste portions of the land of Assyria. All right, verse 31. And then shall the dragons have the upper hand, remembering their nature, and shall turn themselves, conspiring together in great power, especially once they figure out these deals they made with Babylon. All right, you know, as far as you forwarding their petrodollar for protection ain't really working out. These Arab nations ain't being protected like that. In fact, the only reason they're getting bombed is because of the U.S. bases that they have over there. So this is all working against Babylon. Okay? So the dragons are now having an upper hand, these Arab nations, right? The dragons of Arabia, the Carmanians, right? Remembering their nature, and they shall turn themselves, conspiring in great power to persecute them. They're going to turn on Babylon. Then shall these be troubled, bled, and keep silence through their power and flee. That's what he's talking about. Okay? They're keeping silence through their power of the L's they're taking.
Attacks. Of course, you won't see this in the mainstream media. For whatever reason, the mainstream media is ignoring this. There was a blackout. And even CNN yesterday admitting that the Israeli government has told them that they are not allowed to show incoming rocket attacks. Aaron Burnett on live television admitting that.
Up there. We're not showing you that because we're not going to show, the Israeli government does not allow us or want us to show where that may have come up, that interceptor.
So all that to say, the most powerful military machine in human history is not calling a meeting because it's winning too hard. We just love winning. It's calling a meeting right now because the shelves are getting bare. And this is where the entire sort of official storyline collapses, because we keep hearing, the same chest-thumping line that we can do this forever. Trump even bragged about it publicly, that America has virtually unlimited munitions, he posted on Truth Social. I don't know who's telling him this. It's incredibly dangerous. Axios quoting reporting from outlets like the Wall Street Journal, basically saying, nice slogan, but the reality disagrees. The Rupert Murdoch Wall Street Journal talking about running out of munition in days, not weeks.
Job 18. Right? Job 18 and 12. His strength shall be hunger bitten, and destruction shall be ready at his side. So again, America is being led into perdition, but all right, there's a lot more that's coming. Just a quick update. Things ain't working out too well. We'll tap back into this video and more in the next news and prophecy. But again, all right, just to end it off, now your U.S. military has just struck real quick, Ecuador. Okay. Let's get that. Thought I had it. Hold up. Okay.
The U.S.-backed President Nobla has called for a public vote to establish 2 U.S. military bases in Ecuador to fight drug trafficking. The Nobla family are known cocaine traffickers themselves. So do you see what this is not about, cocaine trafficking? The United States is not fighting drugs. So guess what? Ecuador just banned oil drilling to protect 700,000 hectare rainforest indigenous people.
So they're being invaded soon? Is that what this news is?
Guess what? Trump just started bombing them.
I didn't guess it.
U.S. launches military operations in Ecuador.
God damn.
Okay.
So, and here you have it. The reason U.S. is going after Ecuador is the same reason they're going after Venezuela, starving Cuba, cajoling Guyana, and bombing Iran and Palestine. Oil. It's always oil every single damn time. They're going to begin taking out indigenous leaders next.
And because that Strait of Hormuz, they're going to need to make these moves to get control over it. This devil just ain't going to stop, man.
Well, no, it's Israel usually, but this oil we need because when the Strait of Hormuz gets closed off, where are we going to get oil from? That's why we can't have this nonsense while we're fighting Israel's war for them.
Those selfish Ecuadorians wanting to keep their oil for themselves. There it is. U.S. launches military operations in Ecuador. Can we just have one war that's easy for us to win? Just one. U.S. forces have launched military operations with Ecuador against designated terrorist organizations. So they're calling the people who live in Ecuador terrorists.
Well, they've designated it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like an adjudicated rapist, a designated terrorist. It's like the same kind of term.
Remember, you only have to wear a kafaifa around your neck in Manhattan to be put on the terrorist watch list now. So all you have to do is live in Ecuador.
And that government set up over there in Ecuador is controlled by Babylon.
And want to keep your own oil, and they're going to call you a terrorist. The military released no details on the operation, but suggested in a statement that it was an extension of strikes carried out by the Trump administration against suspected drug trafficking organization. So they're just making it up as they go. They're just making it up as they go.
Wow, this seems less like a constitutional thing than an Israel kind of government where they have no constitution, they do whatever the fuck they want, and we're getting all the Israel treatments.
Yep. The administration has conducted about 45 strikes against suspected smuggling vessels in the Caribbean and Pacific Ocean, killing more than 150 people. In January, U.S. forces executed a raid in Venezuela to capture the president, Nicolas Maduro, and take him into New York to face charges that include drug trafficking. Security in Ecuador has deteriorated in recent years. The Andean nation has become a major hub for cocaine trafficking. The situation took a dramatic turn in this is political reporting this, just so you know. The situation took a dramatic turn in January 2024 when gangs stormed a TV station taking...
So, we'll get more into it, man. Wow. They shall come for violence. They shall spread themselves thin, man. This is Rome all over again, man. There's a lot happening. Okay. Italy, Spain, France, and others are sending naval vessels to protect Cyprus after Iranian strike. Hey, we're here, man. Keep the faith. Lord willing, y'all are edified. I mean, there's so much happening, so much more we can go into, but we're going to end it there.